Well, hey y'all, and welcome back to Cajun Country Clunkers. I'm Jimbo, and today I'm going to be working on Old Peaches here, which is a 1990 model Club Car DS. And here on the old homestead, Old Peaches here is one of two golf carts that I run almost on a daily basis. The other one, everybody pretty much knows by now, that was the Gator cart. But in all reality, I don't need to run 70 miles an hour or ride a wheelie when I'm running down to get the mail. Well, that's where Old Peaches comes in. She was dependable, low and slow, and an easy ride. Well, a couple weeks back, I got to get on Old Peaches to go check the mail, turn the key on, and absolutely nothing. She wouldn't even act like she wanted to do anything. Now, ever since I did that video series on building the Gator cart, man, I have had a ton of people out there saying, you can find those Club Car DS models like you built reasonably cheap. How cool would it be if you could do some videos showing troubleshooting? That way somebody could potentially buy one of those golf carts, fix what was wrong with it, and have something that they could use at a reasonable price. Since then, I really haven't picked up any more golf carts to do troubleshooting on, so I thought that this would be the perfect opportunity for all of us to come together and just go through and systematically troubleshoot and figure out what's wrong with Old Peaches here, see if we can get her back up and running. Because a lot of the same issues is going to translate over to if you bought one off of the street. Well, all right, y'all, before I get back into this project, I want to show you something that I've been using that a lot of you gearheads might find useful. If you've ever needed a donor vehicle for an engine swap, a project truck, or just hard to find parts, check out AutoBidMaster. AutoBidMaster has been helping people buy vehicles from auto auctions for more than 17 years. And the best part is you don't have to have a dealer's license to get started. Let me show you what I mean. You can search through over 500,000 vehicles, including trucks, cars, motorcycles, and even equipment. For you guys like me working on projects, this is a great way to find donor vehicles with the exact engine, transmission, or parts you need without paying retail prices. Whether you're looking for a complete truck, a wrecked donor vehicle for a drivetrain swap, or just something to part out, they have a huge selection. And what I like is they walk you through the entire process. They offer vehicle history reports, shipping options, buying guidance, and customer support if you're new to auction buying. And if you want to try it yourself, use my code CC30 to get 30% off of an advanced or premium membership. Just click the link in my description or pinned comment and start browsing. Now let's get back to turning wrenches and getting some of this stuff fixed. Thank you very much, AutoBidMaster, for sponsoring this video. Well, the first thing that I'm going to do to get some good access in here to where all these electronics are is I'm going to remove this seat, or what's left of it anyway. But I have an onboard charger mounted to the seat, and I want to get all of that out of the way. That's going to open up a whole lot more real estate where we can get in here and look at this stuff really closely and go through and see what we've got going on. Now, if I just drug this golf cart in off the street, probably the first place that I would start troubleshooting would actually be the batteries. That's a really good place to start. But in this situation, the battery is more than likely good because it's relatively new. But I'm going to still go through the troubleshooting process. We're going to test it to make sure, because I mean, you never know. This battery could have went bad overnight. I don't suspect that to be the issue. But we're going to walk through it just like I knew nothing about this thing and just drug it in and dumped it off the trailer. You know, getting this seat off of there, I really didn't realize how bad a shape that thing was actually in. I might have to do a little rebuild on this seat too. No wonder it had such a smooth, cushiony ride. All the wood was gone out of the seat. And for everybody that was expecting a video on old Frankie back here this week, he's got a few gifts coming in the mail that we're going to need for the next episode. Now, just like the title of this video says, this is my 5 top tier go-to troubleshooting paths whenever I get one of these carts in. Now, I've done a pretty good many of these carts over the years, and it all seems to go back to these 5 things. So I have a lot of confidence in saying there's about a 90% chance if you get that golf cart and you get it home, the reason that that golf cart was parked in the first place were one of those 5 reasons. So we're going to start off here with number 1, and we're going to test the battery. Now, on these particular golf carts, everything on them is in DC voltage. So you have to set your voltmeter up to DC voltage. On this one here, it defaults to AC, so I'm going to hit the select button. Boom. Now we're swapped over to DC. Now I'm going to start with a battery, Because if you troubleshoot on anything downstream of this battery and you don't have a charge in your battery, everything that you do is going to be null and void. So you have to make sure that you have adequate power. And it really doesn't matter if you have an adequate charge or not. You just need to know what that charge is. So say if you had a 48 volt battery and you was putting out 30 volts, well, if you did the rest of your diagnostic tests and everything else reflected that you had that 30 volts, then that means the only issue is your battery or series of batteries. So in this situation, it's very important to know where you've been to know where you're going to. So getting right off into it, we're going to see exactly how much voltage we have here. And we have a grand total of 52.5 volts. Now, the next question that y'all are all going to be asking is why so many volts? And the answer to that question is because that's how many volts that this battery puts out. Now, this is a 36 volt golf cart, and I put a 48 volt battery on here. Now, is this golf cart designed to run a 48 volt battery? Absolutely not. This is a 38 volt max golf cart, but you can run this on a 48 volt battery. Now, however, whenever you do that, the caveat is that you can expect to have a melted wire here and there if you get it in a really bad bind, or if you stay into it running it for a really, really long time where there's a high amp load, like going up a hill, you could melt a cable. So you really kind of got to watch what you're doing. And the best case scenario is if you have a 36 volt golf cart, put a 36 volt battery on it. If you have a 48, put a 48 volt. But I have plans for this golf cart in the future, and that's going to require a 48 volt battery. That's the reason I decided to go ahead and stuff this one on here to get it down the road. Now, fast forward to today from when this battery was installed, I'm pretty sure the reason it's not running today is from overvoltage. But I'm going to keep on troubleshooting and prove if my theory is correct or not. Now that we know the old battery tested out good, we're going to move on to the next thing. And the next item on the hit list is this keyed switch right here. This is just an on-off switch. It's just a key because I guess it resembles a vehicle. But really, it just turns off and on. It's just like a light switch. It's on or off. Now, for me to test that key switch, I have to know how it operates. It's not like a typical key switch where you would turn it on and it would actually send positive current through the system to send a signal to somewhere else. It is actually exactly the opposite. The key switch on these Club Car DS models are a negative signal that goes all the way, makes the circuit, comes back to the solenoid, and switches on the ground to allow a path of current to go through the solenoid. That way you don't have all this voltage trying to go through little tiny wires, go all the way through the key switch and land back and provide current to the solenoid. So the way I'm going to test it to see if it's on, I'm going to take the positive lead of my voltmeter, clamp it on right here at the battery. Next I'm going to check, make sure that I got current. I do, 52.5 volts. Now I'm going to take the ground lead off of this voltmeter, put it on the negative wire coming from the key switch on the solenoid and see if it turns off and on. It's this little yellow wire right here. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to put my negative lead right here and I'm going to turn the key on and see what we end up with. So at this point in time, whenever I switch that key on, see if I can get it on here good. When I switch this key on, it should go to north of 50 volts. Look at there, 52.5. That's exactly what the battery has in it. So now we know that the battery has juice in it. We turn the key on and we get the signal all the way to the solenoid. So at this point in time, what this is telling me is whenever I press the accelerator, it should allow current to pass through the system, engage, and start pushing the golf cart. Now I've already tested it and I know that the key is working. But if you get one of these and the key isn't working, let me show you a couple of the most likely reasons that the key isn't working. And this is reason number one. This is the micro switch on the forward neutral reverse switch. Now what happens is this blue wire is coming from the ignition switch and it goes through this micro switch, back out through this yellow wire down to the solenoid. Now the golf cart is in neutral right now, so the switch should be open, should be disengaged, not allowing any ground current to go through there. But whenever I put it in gear, it rolls that switch up and it makes contact and it allows the current to go all the way through there and go back down to the solenoid. And what that actually is a safety to where when you have it in neutral, the golf cart drive will not function. Now the other micro switch is inside of this wiper switch. Now the way this wiper switch works is when you push the accelerator, it keeps up adding more and more resistance to make the golf cart go faster and faster and allow for more pass-through current. Now, the way this micro switch works is when this wiper switch is all the way in the closed position, when your foot is all the way off the throttle, it disengages this switch, making it in an open position so it won't allow current to go through here, which is also a safety function. So when your foot is off the accelerator, it will not allow the golf cart to get current to move freely on its own. Now, so far in just a really short amount of time, we have proven that the battery is good, the key switch is good, and we know that both of the micro switches are working because we have pass-through current, and that is working. Now, as far as completing the 5 top things that I would check, the only 2 things left is the wiper switch. We have to make sure that we have continuity between the post and through the brush that controls the speed, and the solenoid. And both of those things are really easy to test. We're going to go ahead and test them together right now so we can figure out what is wrong with this thing. Most of the things that you're going to find that is outside of these 5 steps is going to be something pretty major, like a shorted motor, or something like that, which rarely happens. It does happen on occasion, but most of the time, it's going to be one of these 5 little simple things. Well, we're at the point in the game now to where we're kind of getting down to the wire. It's either going to be a bad solenoid or we're going to have a bad drive motor, it's looking like. Now, I would much rather replace the solenoid with the drive motor, but I do have a spare drive motor if we got to go that far. But as far as testing the solenoid, it is really pretty straightforward. You just set your meter back to DC volts. You get on the ground side, put your little ground clamp right there, and you get your positive lead, and you test to make sure that you have positive current going into your solenoid. And the driver's side lug right here is where your power coming in is going to be located. And we're sitting here at 52.5 volts. So we have power going in. So what I'm going to do is jump over here on the other lug. Now you shouldn't have any power on this side until you press the accelerator. So what I'm going to do now is press the accelerator, and it should excite this solenoid and make it make up, and we get pass-through current all the way through the solenoid. When you're working on this old stuff, if you know how all these systems work, it's all pretty straightforward. But every once in a while, you get thrown a curveball on something that you just don't see very often. And this is what I have found here today. This is a really unique thing. I have seen this in the past, but not very often. That's why I always say whenever you're testing something like that, just go ahead and break out the voltmeter. Don't trust all of your human senses, because sometimes your human senses will lie to you. Now, whenever I was younger, you'd always hear the old timers say, if that solenoid's clicking, it's working. You ain't got to worry about that. Go look for something else. Well, this is one of those situations where that is not accurate. Well, plain as day, you can hear that solenoid clicking. Listen. It's clicking, but there is no pass-through current. So we have identified that the solenoid is bad. And I think I have one, so we're going to swap it out and see if that'll get this old girl running. See if we can get Peaches back on the road again. Well, here we go with the new solenoid installed. It's a pretty straightforward, easy process. Now I did put a 48 volt solenoid in here to replace that 36 volt solenoid, but it all was pretty plug and play. I just rewired the new one, just like the old one came out. All I got to do now is reinstall the battery, and old Peaches are to be ready for a test fire. Now it's going to be pretty cool to see how old Peaches here reacts to that new solenoid, because with that 48 volt battery and that old worn out 36 volt solenoid, it really performed pretty well for an old factory cart. Now that we're going to be able to shove more voltage down the throat of this thing, I'm kind of looking forward to see what I can burn up next. Well, Peaches is back up tight and right. Now, she may not be the prettiest thing just yet, but she is functioning, and I'm telling you, to be an old factory cart, she goes down the road pretty well. Hey, thank you all for joining me on my little project today. And remember, if one human can build it, another human can fix it. I'll be seeing you real soon.